Hello, and welcome back to the latest edition of the MetalDisciple.com Metalheads podcast. My name is George.
And I'm Buke.
So I'm starting a brand new segment today based off of one that I've been doing occasionally, but I'm giving it a very grandiose name. I'm going to call this World Domination.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
As you know, I like to obsessively pore over the statistics for the podcast. And last time we spoke, we'd had listeners in 13 different countries, I believe it was.
Okay.
This past week has been an explosion of worldwide domination. We have doubled the number of countries that have listened to this podcast. We are now up to 26.
It would take me a couple of minutes to name 26 countries.
Well, funny you mention it, because I'm about to do that. There's just so many of them, I feel obligated to, rattle these off. I won't do this every episode, but...
This is more or less just, nod of the hat.
Yes, a thank you to the listeners in these countries. First off, United States. That's where most of the people are coming from. Then we've got Sweden, the United Kingdom, Canada, Norway, the Netherlands, Russia, Australia, Colombia, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Ukraine, Taiwan, Brazil, Chile, Czech Republic, France, Greece, Republic of Korea, Portugal, El Salvador, Turkey, and then the curiously titled Other Countries. There's two from there, so that technically could be two different countries, but
maybe those are the sovereign states. It's just some guy with some little plot of land somewhere.
Maybe it's like, Guam or something really small. I don't know, but other countries. So anyway, to all those people in all those countries that have checked us out, thank you very much.
Yes, because if you guys could see behind the scenes, all the headaches and stuff that have gone into some of these episodes.
The headache we just went through trying to get started with this one.
Every week. Nothing changes.
No.
But before it starts.
It's always something.
Yes.
But here we are.
Here we are again.
So Buke is having a new addition to the family arriving imminently.
Yes, my wife and I are expecting our first child June 14th.
And she happens to be sitting here, and my God, she looks ready to burst.
Yes, she has been taking care of me when I've been dealing with an injury. And any second now, you look at her, she's absolutely gorgeous, but she is very... but she's very uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
So my little daughter... will be born any day now.
Any day now. So, I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate you publicly.
Thank you very much.
And just to kind of let people know that...
things are going to be fluid.
The duties of new fatherhood could delay our recording schedule somewhat. So, if you're looking for a new podcast and there isn't one, it's probably why. We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll be along.
Or if you hear cries or a, oh my God, in the background, or you hear a sound of rushing water, then you know my wife's water has broke. And
to be continued later.
Yes. And if you hear microphones drop, it's because we're on the way to the hospital. So things are really exciting right now for us, and we're truly blessed.
Yes, congratulations.
So many people try to have children, stuff like that, and we're just absolutely blessed.
I'm hoping I might be able to get my wife on here to do an episode with me, but so far she's been rather resistant, so...
That would be awesome.
We may just have to play by your schedule, and we'll do it when we do it.
That would be great. Yeah, I would like to, on side note, that would be great to maybe have a female, like our wives, sit in, to maybe, they can't talk a lot of metal, but to just kind of ask somebody who doesn't listen to metal why and questions like that and stuff. Kind of get an outsider's point of view.
And they'll be like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, if it's I don't know what they're saying. It's too loud.
Yeah, my wife never wants to hear anything when I talk about metal stuff. She's like, that's nice.
To let the listeners know the type of girl I'm married to, she put together her playlist for the labor room.
Oh, yeah?
Full of NSYNC, full of... all the boy bands.
Right. Well, speaking of which, that actually leads me into my next topic. I was listening to Matt Heafy of Trivium on the last Metal Sucks podcast, and he said something interesting about how pop music is kind of like fast food for people that they don't really get all that into music. They listen to music, but they don't live the music. And that metal, and I'm going to paraphrase him here and sort of read my own meaning into this, but that metal is more of a gourmet food for people that...
Like the connoisseurs.
Yes, that completely submerge into this lifestyle.
That's a great way to look at it, because I know my wife, friends I talk to who listen to pop music, they're not going on websites. They're not going on blogs. They're not listening to pop music podcasts.
No, my wife, she likes pop music, but I can't remember the last time she's bought an album. She'll mooch something off me. She'll be like, hey, can you get me a copy of this? But, it's very few and far between where, I probably get more music in a week than she gets in a year. So,
yes.
Just thought that was kind of interesting.
That's a great point. Let's
get into some news stories. Did you see this thing in the news about James Hetfield and his line of sunglasses?
Yes, I was at the store the other day buying sunglasses.
Did you see any?
No.
They only, I think, made like 600 pairs or something like that. And they're like $220 a piece for regular sunglasses. I know people buy like Oakleys and things like that those are expensive. But me, I don't pay more than $10 for a pair of sunglasses because I break them pretty much the day after I get them.
If sunglasses for me make it a month...
Yeah,
something special's happening.
Though I was reading that these are supposed to be pretty sturdy, hard to break sunglasses. So
see, breaking them is not the problem for me. I just lose them.
That too.
Or the inevitable, you get in your car and what's that crunch?
Whoops! What I just sit on?
Yeah, as you sit on them. But I tell you, having his name attached to it would be great business for him. I remember when I was growing up, I'm a NASCAR fan. Jeff Gordon had a line of Ray-Ban sunglasses, and just because his name was attached to it. I was a kid. I went out and bought those Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Sure.
So, hey, if it's an opportunity for him to make some money, why not?
Yeah. Could be worse.
Yeah.
In related Metallica news, I saw that Metallica recently played The Frayed Ends of Sanity live for the very first time, which just kind of blew my mind. I'm like, that's one of the best songs on the Justice album. And I saw them on that tour, but I didn't hear that song.
They have really weird set lists.
They're going to play Fuel, but they're not going to play Frayed Ends of Sanity.
I say that because, there used to be, it's still up and running, a Encyclopedia Metallica song, and their live Metallica website where you can buy recordings of all their concerts, they give little facts at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, up until a couple years ago, they had only played Trapped Under Ice once or twice live, ever.
I think I heard something about that too. And it's like, what?
Yeah, well, you have great sounds. You have a killer catalog to pick from. I'm not saying put it on every concert, but maybe once a tour you can play it or something.
Yeah, you would think. I know it's kind of weird sometimes the songs that bands don't like. Like from Ride the Lightning, there's pretty much every song on Ride the Lightning is a favorite, but the song Escape, I fucking love that song. The lyrics are just so empowering. Me and my empowering, we who are not as others.
Yes.
I love my empowering heavy metal vocals and lyrics, rather. And I think that's a great song. And I read or heard somewhere that they hate that song and they never play it. If they've even ever played it live, I don't know if they have. And that just kind of bums me out because I really dig that song.
Do you think bands like them and your Iron Maidens, bands who have, decades and decades worth of live shows, you think they get tired playing your Nothing Else Matters?
Oh, I'm sure they do. It's like Ask Lemmy, and he's like, I'm so tired of playing Ace of Spades, but that's my go-to song. That's the song everybody wants to hear. So I feel like I gotta play it. But
if you're Joe Blow going to the concert, aren't you almost kind of expecting and almost kind of feel robbed if they don't play that Ace of Spades or that
of course. But if you play a long enough set, you can at least slip in one or two deeper tracks that maybe you haven't played for a while you'd like to hear.
Speaking about tracks, this is interesting. Can I go along with this? What do you think of when bands play something new live?
Before or after an album's been released? I hate it.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know this song. Fuck you.
Yeah. Okay, because I know you don't like when you've kind of tapped out for a band for a number of years because nothing's really been put out that good by them, and you go and you see the set list and it's just a couple songs.
Yeah, well, I have to admit it depends on the band.
Like when we saw Flotsam and Jetsam, you were excited to see them.
Right.
The set list was only a couple songs you were really, really excited for.
This is true. But like a new Metallica song, if it's just one song, I'm like, yeah, I'd like to hear a new Metallica song. And I remember the first time I saw Manowar back in, what was it, like 1996? It was before the Louder Than Hell album came out. And when we were in the club, we got there really early, and so it was still open as a bar. But they were playing some Manowar music in there, and they played some songs from the forthcoming Louder Than Hell album. And, you know, we had, first of all, at the time, such a massive Manowar fan, and hadn't had any new Manowar music in, I don't even know how many years. 4 years? So we were, like, psyched to hear that.
I can see that.
But then these were studio tracks they were playing in the club, and then when they played them live, well... Because, in fact, it was the show that they filmed the Return of the Warlord video. I am in the Return of the Warlord video.
Yes,
like,
I remember you telling me that.
If you like slow it down to like nothing, and then there's like a face, and you can't tell who it is, but it's me
with long hair.
No, it was actually like 2 weeks after I cut my hair. It was so depressing.
Friends don't let friends get haircuts.
I know. I did have long hair at one time for quite a while. So there's a new Overkill album coming out in a couple of months called White Devil Armory. I know you're not excited. See, I thought you were an Overkill fan, like when we went to go see them those times. And
the Ironbound album got me. Yeah. I liked it. The style had it was obviously still thrash.
Have you ever listened to Taking Over? Or Years of Decay?
Of course. Just it. I don't know. Overkill is just for me. It's just never really latched on. Well, I really can't put it, but I know you're excited.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing that.
I'm still puzzled with that. When we saw them live, sorry, not puzzled. I was very surprised when we saw them live a couple years back. That was your first time seeing them.
It was one of those things that just never happened. You know, they never came around when I was around, and
still probably one of the bands, if not the loudest band live.
Oh yeah,
Empire. They were cranking it,
and Blitz still has an incredible voice, both recorded and otherwise. Well, I know there's a band that you do like that just released a single from their new album.
Really?
Who do you think? What was
Opeth.
that? Opeth, that's right. What was that? Cusp of Eternity, is it called?
Yep.
What did you think of that?
I tell you, it sounded like it was pulling elements. There was a Damnation sound I was getting from it. There was a Heritage sound that was coming into it. There was, I don't know if I wouldn't say choir, but there was very strong backing. I don't know where I'm looking for. It's escaping me, but
I think you're looking for that Middle Eastern sound that I was talking about, maybe?
Yes.
I felt, I liked it. You know, I know a lot of people criticize Opeth for Heritage and the no longer doing the death vocals, but I thought it sounded really good. Heritage I liked. It had a bit fuzzier retro sound.
It did.
Whereas this new song had a much cleaner, like maybe Damnation production, but with, like what I said, sort of Middle Eastern influences.
It was interesting because, you know, Damnation was a really soft, like background music type of sound.
It was pretty chill.
Really chill, exactly. This was kind of upbeat like Heritage, but wasn't that retro sound that Heritage had on tracks like Slither or I Feel the Dark, stuff like that. So it was really great single. You really check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more.
And again, the album for any Opeth fan out there, you know, the album got pushed back to late August. Pale Communion is the name of it. So
we'll be waiting for that with bated breath.
Definitely.
So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant now. When don't I go on a rant? There's a new...
May I just stop you? Because I saw this here in our little write-up. I saw this the other day, too. And for a second, I was scratching the head like, what? Who? And I'll let you go. But
Entombed AD.
What?
Yet another band has been soiled for me by... You know, what happened to the days when people didn't get along and the band fucking broke up? Now, you have to have two versions of a band. There's Entombed and Entombed AD. There's Luca Turilli's Rhapsody, and there's Rhapsody of Fire.
There's Queensryche.
And Jeff Tate's Queensryche.
Yep.
There's Great White and the jackass singer for Great White's version.
What's it, Jack White?
Yeah. I have nothing to do with Great White ever since they killed all those people at the station back in Delaware, I think it is.
Rhode Island, maybe.
Rhode Island, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I have had no respect. I
No.
will turn off the radio if they come on. I absolutely loathe
Horrific,
that band. This trend is just getting out of hand. Somebody own the band or break up the band. Quit making 2 fucking bands.
It's all just a money grab.
I mean, so far it's been mostly bands that I don't give a shit about anyway, but Entombed, I love Entombed.
Yep.
And this, well, and Rhapsody as well. But this Entombed split just breaks my heart.
I don't understand it. I know that they're all trying to make a living, trying to make some money, but what do you do in that situation? Do you maybe start kind of going off on your own, making new music?
I don't know. I just know that I don't like this trend.
No, it's really happening a lot in music now. Now, this next news story is really sad.
Yes. Yesterday, we just got the breaking news that confirmed that Dave Brockie of Gwar died of a heroin overdose.
Another one, again.
Fuck heroin. Heroin has just destroyed far too many lives, far too many good bands, ended too many careers. Stay off that shit, people.
Did you read the thing today from Randy?
Yeah.
Pretty touching, wasn't it?
It was. I didn't know that Randy was clean.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you've seen all the videos of Randy getting drunk and crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It makes sense because he seems so much more calm and mature lately.
That's a great way to put him.
So good for Randy for getting his shit together.
But just another one that, Lane Stanley lost to it. I'm not a fan of the band. Well, I'm a fan of the band, but they're not metal. It's Brad from Sublime,
Yeah.
lost to heroin.
That guy, man, to die before anybody had even heard of him, and then his band breaks
absolutely
big.
blows up.
Yep.
Dead.
Never.
And the sad thing is that when he died, you started hearing these little smatterings. What was the cause? What was it drugs? And you, I'm assuming you're like me. You hoped that, obviously anybody dies, it's sad, but you hope, hey, let's not have drugs be involved.
Right.
Let's just have this be some medical condition that just went unnoticed and he's had a random heart attack or something,
Yeah.
To go out like this, to do it to yourself,
Yeah.
sad.
It is sad.
Sad.
But in more upbeat Gwar news, there's another article out there talking about how there's going to be a Gwar restaurant called the Gwar Bar opening in Richmond. There's a crowdfunding campaign going to help get this started. Apparently, I'm not that familiar with the other guys in the band, but the guy who came up with the Gwarbecue sauce is putting together a menu of Gwar-themed
Intergalactic space food.
Yes. He's talking about how his mother taught him how to create food, and then he ate her.
Did you see that at the Gwarbecue, Odorous, they're going to send him out with a funeral pyre and everything?
I saw that. I really think we need to go to this.
That would be so cool.
We're only like 2.5 hours from Richmond. We really need
Let's
to
just load up the baby and go.
Oh, yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah, man. We'll toss her around like dwarf tossing. In other news, I know you're probably not familiar with this band. They're from the 80s. They're called the Killer Dwarfs. And they were just in an accident last week in Indiana. And singer Russ Graham was airlifted.
I saw that, yeah.
From the scene with a possible head injury. It seems he's been cleared okay and has been released from the hospital. But I just want to say, glad to hear you're okay.
Yes.
Hope you're feeling better soon. I really dug the Killer Dwarfs back in the late 80s.
Wish you the best of recovery.
Yeah, man. Feel better, man. So Sam Dunn's super duper Alice Cooper is now out on DVD and Blu-ray.
I heard the Metal Sucks guys talking about this. They said, even if you're not a fan of Alice Cooper, check it out.
Yeah, I almost went out and bought it at lunch today, but just didn't have time for that. So I will definitely be picking that up this week.
If I would have seen it at the record store, I would have grabbed it.
Yeah. Sounds like it's going to be good fun. So the new Hell Yeah album is, I don't know if it's out yet or it's coming. I think it might be out next week. Are you a fan of Hell Yeah? I'm not a fan of Hell Yeah.
No, I think
I'm hell no on Hell Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're crap.
But apparently the new album has a song called Black December that's going to be a tribute to Dime. What do you think of that?
Hey, if anybody wants to tribute him, release a tribute to him, great.
Vinny's the man to do it.
Vinny is. I have nothing really to say, but to me, they've always just been one of those bands that's just there.
Yeah,
I don't understand the hype that they've ever received. Or
I heard a song Cross to Bear, I think it was, is the new one on the radio right now. And I was like, wow, that is awful. Awful, awful.
Only thing I know is that I only know the band members. That's the guy from Mudvayne.
Yeah, are they even around anymore? Or did they break up with him being in this band?
I'm not sure.
Don't know. I never really liked them anyway. I thought they were kind of a Slipknot ripoff when they'd started and they had all the makeup. And
Yeah. But hey, if you're giving a tribute to Dime, great.
Can't complain about that.
No.
So everybody's favorite goth freak, Marilyn Manson, is going to be making an appearance on the Sons of Anarchy in the near future.
How is Marilyn now? Is he the last time we saw him? Is he chubby, sucking down oxygen? Marilyn? Remember when we saw him at, what's that, Mayhem?
Yeah.
Was it 5 years ago, 4 years ago or something?
He was not well.
No. He was not at all.
Though he recently lost his mother, and that was...
Yeah.
He wrote some touching words about that, and my condolences to him on that loss. I'm curious to see how this will turn out. I mean, do you watch Sons of Anarchy?
Never watched one. The guys at work tell me I need to watch it. I was a big fan of Dexter, and Dexter would always, midway through, would always end on a holy shit moment. Well, apparently those moments were topped by moments that Sons of Anarchy would have.
Interesting.
So they always told me to watch it.
I just started watching I started with the first season, I don't know, about a month ago. I've only gotten through like maybe 5 episodes, but I'm pretty hooked on it. I can't I mean, there's like 7 or 8 seasons now, so I've definitely got some watching to do. All right, well, let's get into some new releases for this week. Technically, it's already midway through this week, and there was really only one release this week that I wanted to talk about. So, given the fact that there's probably not going to be a podcast next week, I'm including stuff from next week as well. This first band I actually posted a review for on Metal Disciple today. This band is called Darkest Era. They're from Ireland, and this is their second album called Severance. They have this like metal with Celtic influence sound. The vocals are clean. The music's pretty heavy. Doesn't really remind me of too much. I felt like some of the riffs kind of came across as vaguely melodic Iron Maiden type, but on the whole, a pretty original sounding release, and I definitely recommend checking this out. You can also go read my review on metaldisciple.com. Plug. You ever heard the band Anathema? They've been around for quite a while. They were one of the early British doom bands. Back in the day with bands like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, they came up in that whole scene. And then, can't remember exactly when, late 90s maybe, they started going like uber prog. And now,
Like Dream Theater Prague?
but a little more ethereal. I haven't cared for anything since like the second or third album. But I just wanted to point out to people that they do have a new album out called Distant Satellites. So if you're into that sort of thing, check it out. Have you had a chance to hear any of the new Bloody Hammers yet?
I've checked some of it out on Spotify, yep.
Yeah?
It kind of goes with my trend of what I'm listening to now.
Yeah, the new album's called Under Satan's Sun. I love this album. I like their last album, Spiritual Relics. This one, I think it was what I'm listening to a couple weeks ago. And I am still really digging this album. Should definitely check it out.
Well, this next one I don't. I know the name.
This one's called Body Count. And that, if you're not aware, is the old band featuring rapper Ice-T playing heavy metal music. I'm not sure how long it's been since they've been active, but I mean, it was like early, mid-90s last time I heard these guys. And I thought it was pretty ironic that Ice-T has a band called Body Count, where they're all gangster, yet he's on one of those Law and Order CSI type shows as a cop. I'm like, well, which way is it, man? Are you a gangster or are you a cop? And I saw a video for one of their new songs, and I was a little stunned. I can't remember what... It was like Talk Shit, Get Shot or something like that. Talk Crap, Get Shot. I don't... And it was basically them singing this song, and the video would show all these people who would be like, oh, Body Count, they must be destroyed, they're awful. And so then a van would pull up and Body Count would come out and shoot them. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck the people that, try to bring you down and all that. But all the people they killed were white. What the hell's that all about?
I've never seen it.
I was just like, if they'd mixed it up a little bit, and I wasn't particularly offended. But I was like, I see the potential for other people to get their panties in a bunch over this. I'm like, could have mixed in a couple other ethnic groups in there just for the sake of not being considered racist? I don't know.
Aren't they playing Mayhem over the summer?
They might be.
I didn't really realize they were a real thing. I thought they just put out an album and...
No,
They're very real.
Oh, yeah. I know you know this next band, Dust Bolt.
Yes. No.
What do you mean, no? You?
I know that.
I remember when their last album came out, you were like, Dust Bolt rules!
Yes.
Well, they've got a new album coming out actually next week called Awake the Riot. And there's some pretty killer thrash, so you should check that out. One that I'm really excited about is the new Falconer album called Black Moon Rising.
Do you think that's taken from the Sentenced song?
Black Moon Rising.
Well, that was Dead Moon Rising.
Dead Moon Rising, yeah.
Probably.
I don't know. All I know is I got the promo like a week or two ago.
Isn't the original singer back?
Yes, he is. He was back on the last album, I think. But the last album wasn't in English, so I didn't really listen to it. I started listening to this one. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time to get through the whole thing. But what I have heard, fucking rocked.
One of the better power metal bands you turned me on to.
Oh, yeah. So anybody that might want to consider checking that out, I highly recommend you do that because Falconer kills.
The singer kind of always, for any of you who've never heard Falconer, the singer always kind of sound like a mithril bard.
Yeah, but he's not an actual metal singer. He's actually a theatrical performer, like a Shakespearean performer.
He sounds like a guy you would picture singing at your local Renaissance festival.
Yeah, and it just works so well, and it's really great that they've managed to pull that off. So I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad that they've got a new album. Of course, there's the Hell Yeah album. We already talked about that. Next. So the mighty Mayhem is back with a new album called Esoteric Warfare. Are you at all a fan of Mayhem in any shape or form?
I still can't get into them.
I like, obviously, the main release, the Mysteries of Satan, Sodom, Satanus, whatever it is. I think that's a great album. And I've been listening more to some of the post-Euronymous albums because I've been reading that black metal book. And I can get into it now. When, like, Wolf's Lair Abyss first came out back in the day, I listened to it and I was like, meh. Actually, I wasn't meh. Nobody said meh back then. But I just wasn't into it. And but I've gone back and listened to some of that stuff now with a different ear, and it's not bad. I'm not sure what I think of this new one yet, though.
Now, this next one on your list has me probably the most excited because their 2001 release, Cosmovision.
Yes. Nightmare.
Man, did I love that.
From France. They've got a new album called The Aftermath, and I'm with you there. Cosmogenesis was a killer album. I know they've had a few albums since then.
The last one I bought from them was their Dominion Gate record. That was 2005. Just great power metal.
Yeah, good stuff. So glad to see they're back. Looking forward to checking that out. This is another of the albums this week that I've really been anticipating, and I've actually had a promo for a couple of weeks. A band called Tombs, and their third and latest album, Savage Gold. Have you listened to these guys at all? Because if you haven't, you really need to.
Nope, honestly, I have not.
Their last album, Paths of Totality, and the album before that, Winter Hours. I've got them both on vinyl. That ought to say something.
Thanks.
It is, I guess you'd call it post-metal or post-black metal. I'm not quite sure. It's really kind of sludgy, doomy, but untraditional in a way. When I heard Savage Gold last week, I was just like, yes! If it weren't for Triptychon, this could have been number one. But now it's fighting for number two. And the last new release, band called Trap Them, and their latest album, Blissfucker. These guys, kind of a grindcore crust band. I'm not usually into those types of bands, but I've listened to some of their earlier stuff, and yeah, it's kind of cool. And I've listened to a little bit of this new album, and so far I'm digging it, so probably ought to give them a listen to. So what have you been listening to?
So Opeth is my favorite band, and I've been on this Funeral Doom kick recently.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Spotify the other day while sitting down playing some video games, which I like to do, and this band came on. And usually, when I'm playing my game, a lot of the music is just background noise. And this band came on, and I had to alt tab out of my game and be like,
What was this?
Yeah. It's a band by the name of The Fall of Every Season.
Ah, yes. I'm familiar
It's
with
a solo project out of Norway from a gentleman by the name of Marius Strand. The way I like to describe this was the 2007 release From Below. And he released one album last year called amends.
Cool.
The From Below album, best way to describe it is if you take Michael from Opeth and his, they almost sound similar. They're clean vocal stylings. If you blend vocals that sound just like that and you throw in funeral doom, slow growling vocals, that's the fall of every season.
Nice.
The From Below album's 5 tracks. Each track is a minute. Sorry, is 11, 12, 13 minutes. Just slow trudging. Absolutely wonderful.
Nice.
It was one of those rare things, like I said, that I listened to it. Like a dog when they hear a high-pitched sound. Ears perked up. So again, the fall of every season, From Below.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear you're picking up on more music like this. My band today is one that I just came across a couple of days ago. They're an atmospheric doom metal band called Clouds, and the album is called, I'm going to get this wrong, Doliu. It's D-O-L-U, D-O-L-I-U, however you pronounce that.
You were close.
And it's doom metal. It's kind of funeralish. The drums and some of the vocals are handled by the guy from Eye of Solitude, which is a really great funeral doom band. There's also guys from Shape of Despair and Officium Triste and Barren Earth. So it's kind of an all-star doom band, if you will. And I've been listening to that the last couple of days. It's pretty good stuff. So check that out.
Can you give a name one more time? Not the album name, the band name.
The band name is just simply called Clouds.
Okay. Do you have it on vinyl?
Not yet.
That's my response to everything.
I'm going to be looking for it. So let's get into our weekly Unsigned Bands segment.
Yes. It's probably my favorite part we do now.
Yeah, I love doing this.
I love helping these guys out. These guys sound another strong band.
Yes. This is a band called Human Collapse. They're from St. Petersburg, Russia. And this is their debut album, Darkness to Fall. These guys, they have, just like last week's band, they're a death doom band. Not quite as much clean vocals, but definitely in the vein of like Daylight Dies and October Tide. I really dig these guys. Should definitely check them out. So, why don't we listen to a song? This is the song called Nowhere. All right, pretty good stuff there, huh?
Very much so.
Stick around later in the podcast and we'll have another song from the band. And make sure to check these guys out online. You can find them at Bandcamp, where you can name your price for the album, which is any price you want. You can also check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/HNCBand. So I recently finished reading that Black Metal Evolution of the Cult book.
Okay.
And I've gotten a lot of topics from that book while reading it. It is a very good book. I recommend it to any fans of the style, or even just metal fans in general. I learned a lot from the book. And something that I found interesting. Have you ever heard of NSBM? It's National Socialist Black Metal, also known as Nazi metal.
Oh, yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. In fact,
And let me just get it out there. Any of this hate music in any form, no freaking place for it.
that kind of leads me into why I brought it up. This topic is called Satanic Bands versus Nazi bands. Now, let me preface this by saying I do not in any way support National Socialist Black Metal or any of the things that these bands stand for. But playing devil's advocate here, I just thought it was kind of funny. Satanic black metal bands, their message: Satan, evil, destruction, death, we hate everybody. Okay, well, National Socialist black metal bands, we don't hate everybody, we just hate some people. So, from a strictly black and white perspective, wouldn't you think that satanic black metal would be worse because they hate everybody, whereas Nazi metal only hates some people?
Probably.
Probably,
yeah.
You would think, but that's definitely not the case. Satanic metal of any kind is infinitely more acceptable, as it should be, than Nazi metal. And I have a theory why this is. Satanic metal is, you don't take it seriously. Except for the rare occasional freaky band that performs strange rituals and ends up either killing themselves or ending up in jail, satanic-themed music is simply stories.
It's just a movie.
It's a movie.
Music.
It's a Stephen King book. It's a horror story. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Whereas National Socialist black metal Nazi bullshit is it's real world hate.
Yes. And it's like deep-seated hate in you. It's like a fire of hate that burns in you.
There's just no playing that off as it's just a story. No, it's real world bullshit and shouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was kind of funny that satanic stuff is much more acceptable.
I heard something similar to this years back. An interview Tom from Slayer gave. And Tom's a Christian.
Yep.
He was raised Catholic. He was asked right around 2001 when their God Hates Us All record came out, and he was asked, how can you be a Christian with, you have an album God Hates Us All and talking about, God and stuff like that. And he says, well, yes, I'm a Christian, and I have Christian beliefs, but it just, like a movie, like a horror movie, it just makes for a badass song title.
Yep.
That's nothing short of it. It just, in the metal world, it just sounds badass. God Hates Us All.
Just because you wrote Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't mean that you can't believe in God.
Yes.
It's just a story.
All those Cannibal Corpse songs,
yeah,
brutal and vile, doesn't mean you hate women or anything. It's just a horror movie or whatever put to lyrics, put to a song.
It's adrenaline music.
Yes. But these bands you're mentioning of and what the book talked about it's just pure hate.
Yep.
Real hate. Now again, you said, just like you said, there are the extreme cases, the church burnings and all that stuff.
Sure.
There's those type of things.
That's the exception, not the rule.
Yes. It's like you and I could go out, we could sing a song about that. We don't believe it.
Nope.
But hey, it's a song. Just like we could go act in the movie. We could assume the role of anything. Doesn't mean it's tracks how we really believe.
Right. All right. Well, I think we've given that topic enough coverage. Let's move on. So let's talk about our favorite 3 albums from a band this week.
I love this topic.
This week, we have The Mighty Slayer.
I'm going to ask you this week again, like I've done every episode. Did you rank yours this time?
I did. Hard as that is to do, particularly with Slayer.
Yes. You want me to go first again?
Always.
Okay. My number 3, South of Heaven.
Okay. Why?
It's great. Nothing really jumps at me that really captures me, that really has me listening to this over my next 2.
Yeah.
You might not talk to me ever again when I say this next one.
Uh-oh, number 2.
Am I even metal for saying this? Rain and Blood.
Click, click. Boom.
I knew this was going to be...
Oh.
If there's, like 3
If looks could kill.
That is true. If there's 3 or 5 albums that every metalhead should listen to and should own, you have to admit Rain and Blood is easily on that list.
Oh, yes.
And now, I will admit, to me, Angel of Death...
Greatest metal song ever.
It is. Raining Blood. Aside from that, the album,
What? Okay, I disown you.
And my number 1 is Seasons in the Abyss.
Uh-huh.
War Ensemble, Dead Skin Mask.
All I hear is blah, 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 Rain and Blood number 2.
I knew this would cause some controversy. I just think what else is on Rain and Blood? Jesus Saves.
Criminally Insane.
Yeah.
Necrophobic.
Postmortem.
Epidemic. Jesus.
So I think I know what you... I'm not metal.
Well,
here, Steph, you want to wear the headphones? What am I doing on this?
well, not surprisingly, I have the same 3 albums in almost the same order.
Now, let's just say this. These 3 albums, for this band to put out these 3 albums, any band would kill to have 3 releases in a row like this.
Yes. So, no shocker. Number 3, South of Heaven. That came out after Rain and Blood. They went in a completely different, not a completely different direction, but with Rain and Blood, it was so fast and furious that they said they didn't really know where to go from there. What are they going to play faster? So they decided to make it really slow instead because everybody'd be expecting fast. And, it turned out really well. Number 2, Seasons in the Abyss. I almost flip-flopped these 2 because lately I've really been in the South of Heaven. But Seasons in the Abyss does have more songs that I really, really love on it.
Just to start with War Ensemble, to me, it just captures me.
Spirits in Black, everything on there. So, number 1.
This is kind of like saying, Sgt. Pepper's is not the greatest Beatles album,
The album title alone says it all. It rains in blood. Number 1 Slayer album, Rain in Blood. Number 1 metal song ever, Angel of Death.
You think I'm kind of out there by myself on this one with all the metal critics?
Probably, but I mean, again, it's about personal taste. I'm just busting your balls.
I know. It was great. That's why this is my favorite part.
Yeah. I like to tell the story that back in, 87, a buddy of mine, we went to go see Testament on the Practice What You Preach tour. Thinking like Wrathchild America's, Climbing the Walls. I think they were on that tour, and somebody else. But anyway, the point was between sets during the breakdown between bands, they play music through the board, and when they were setting up for Testament, they played Angel of Death through the board, and that place tore up like the band was there playing. The pit went insane.
For a song
being played through the PA.
That's crazy.
It blew my mind. I was like, that is the power of that song.
It's like the metal anthem.
It is. Anywhere you play Slayer, Rain and Blood, I said it again. Anywhere you play Angel of Death, and there's metal fans around, shit is gonna get crazy.
We should have a discussion if there's another metal anthem.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but come on. Angel of Death. All right, so next we're going to go with our classics of the week. You want to go first again?
Sure. I have been, I said it when we talked about what we've been listening to. I was in the vinyl store last weekend. My wife took me down and was, perusing. And I passed on this album a couple of times. And I decided, this time I'm not going to pass on it.
I have an idea what it is.
St. Vitus, Born Too Late.
Okay, I was thinking you were going to go Obsessed, so I was in the neighborhood.
I got that too.
Yeah.
You were.
You found Born Too Late.
Yep, I did.
Damn you.
Yep, I got it.
I've been looking for that one.
This is the 3rd album from Vitus.
Pretty pink cover.
Yep, this is considered one of the greatest
doom metal classics.
Yeah, doom metal classics. Yeah, it's
wino.
Yeah, I'm not as good as you as really describing music, but this is just think of like Sabbath If they were just doing more slower, riffy.
Definitely inspired by stuff.
Yeah, just when you think of doom metal, just the lyrics on this album aren't all doom and gloom on all the tracks and stuff. Some some kind of funny lyrics on some of the songs.
Yeah.
The title track, "Born Too Late," is just a great track.
It is.
So that's my classic this week. 1986's St. Vitus, "Born Too Late."
Good choice, sir. My classic from this week is one that got me through a lot of hard times. I have a lot of rough memories wrapped up in this album, but at the same time, it means a lot to me. This is the Canadian band Voivod and their 1989 fifth album, Nothing Face. Voivod, I actually first heard of them. They were probably one of my first metal vinyl albums. I bought their Roar album in like 86, I think, maybe 85, 86, somewhere around there. I had never heard them before. I saw it in Record Town in Ann Arbor. And I was like, oh, this looks metal, with the big giant rolling Voivod machine on the front. And songs like Fuck Off and Die and Korgel the Exterminator and stuff like that. So I was like, these guys look metal. They were all leather and spikes and stuff and had names like Blackie and Snake and Piggy. So I bought that. I took it home. I listened to it and I was like, what the fuck is this? Let me say, it took a little while to get into Voivod.
They're from Canada, right?
They're from Canada.
Yeah.
And, but from there on, I picked up all the albums and there's, I dig the old stuff now. It's great. But as the 80s progressed, they've always had a sci-fi element, but the music sort of adapted to that sci-fi. And the Nothing Face album is a total classic sci-fi metal album.
It's the first one you gave me to that I started with.
Yes.
It's instant. If you've never had much exposure to Voivod, because for some reason to me, not with the knowledge like you have, Voivod's always kind of seemed like they're on the outside still.
Well, they've always been.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like...
They're like the Ramones. They never got the credit that they should have gotten.
Yes.
But like everybody seems to love them.
Yeah, so that was what you gave me first. So if you're looking for a Voivod album to listen to...
Yeah, well, I mean, any of them really, but this is my favorite. I picked up this album at a really tough time. It came out in 89, but I don't think I found it until 90, and it was probably actually like 91 when I was really hardcore getting into it. And I was having a lot of roommate problems and money troubles, and it was just really, really depressing time, and this album spoke to me. And the other album from this time, as I've mentioned before, is Pantera's Cowboys from Hell. Also another album that got me through this tough time. And the music on Nothing Face, there's nothing like it. Piggy's guitar work was melodic, yet it was discordant. He would play these strange, probably like jazz chords or something, but with distortion on them. It sounded really weird. And I used to know this guy who would call it the Voivod chord whenever it was something kind of discordant sounding. So Nothing Face... incredible album. I can't recommend it enough. Anything by Voivod, except for the albums where Snake does not sing. I don't really care for those.
Even the Jason Newsted
stuff's good. I prefer the stuff like anything from the first album up through Outer Limits is definitely my favorites. I was listening to Outer Limits the other day. Another great album. Angel Rat, another pretty cool album. This was a period where they were a little more experimental and perhaps, I don't want to say alternative, because alternative really hadn't taken off yet, but it was different, and there really wasn't much in the metal scene that sounded anything like these guys. If you haven't heard Voivod, you gotta check them out. You gotta check out Nothing Face. Alright, I think we're gonna wrap it up for this week. As usual, you can check us out on iTunes. You can subscribe to the podcast there, download it for free. You can check us out on wearemetalheads.com. We're now available on Stitcher as well. You can stream the Stitcher from metaldisciple.com as well. We're also available to hear on YouTube. And you can check us out on Facebook, both metaldisciple.com's Facebook page as well as Metalheads. There's also a couple of Twitter accounts you can get a hold of us. I'm at Disciple of Metal.
I'm at Opeth Fan.
And you can also reach him at Metalheads Pod, either of us at Metalheads Pod. And of course, don't forget to check out metaldisciple.com, where you can get reviews and videos and news and good stuff like that. And don't forget to tell us how much you hate us.
Please, speak up.
We love to hear from people who tell us how much they hate us, how much they love us, mostly how they hate us, but whatever.
I've checked a couple of the reviews and stuff like that, and I just want to say to the couple of people who've reached out on YouTube. Some of the
Chris
positive,
Green.
yeah, some of the comments. I saw that one the other day. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that means a lot to us,
It
man.
does. It just to take time and listen, even if it's one person. When you guys just taking the time just to write in a little something, thank you for that. And again, my thank you to you, George, for setting us up for us again. I really appreciate all you do for us too.
Great, man. You're welcome. I love doing this too.
And guys, we'll be back again whenever that may be. My wife and I, again, our baby's on the way. She will be metal. And let me put it out there for everybody. My baby girl will be coming home from the hospital in her Opeth onesie. Sorry, what was that?
Maybe you need to play her some baby metal.
I think they may be a little too soft for her.
Oh, yeah?
I'm starting her in on some heavy stuff. My friend said, him and I got in a discussion the other day, and my friend kind of really listened to heavy metal and really kind of got out of it. He said, if your daughter's listening to Mayhem at a year old, then she's more metal than I am.
That's more metal than you are.
It is. So I'm really blessed. I'm really excited. So
can't wait to see her.
I don't hope that the podcast takes an extended hiatus. So I'm going to try everything I can to be here for us.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. Family comes first.
Yep.
So we'll be back when we're back. All right. Well, why don't we listen to another song from Human Collapse? This is from their album Darkness to Fall, and the song is called Novembersmile. See you next time.
Later.
But then I see the endless blue sea over my head, islands of white clouds drifting across. For a while it seems that the perfect moment is there, a fine point where the scales are in balance. But the next second it becomes clear that it is just the last stop on the way to a final destination.